Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Longley's Line Podcast. I am your host, Stephen Longley. Remember to like, follow, subscribe on all of those social medias. Stephen Longley for me, Longley's Line for the show, Lightstyle Studio for our studio here. And as you guys know, we like to bring on different guests from all over the entertainment industry. And today is no different. Today, I have Cameron and Fernando. Guys, thank you for being here.
Of course.
Thanks for inviting us.
Before we get started on anything, go ahead and promote socials, websites, anything you guys would like to promote for the people here.
Okay. So I go as Maria Twampson in drag. You can find me on Instagram as just Maria Twampson. You can find us on Facebook as The Twampsons. And then you can also find us on Linktree for all of our shows under The Twampsons as well.
The Twampsons.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I'm Fernando Gonzalez. I also go as Shania Twampson. And as Maria said, you can find me on Instagram, Linktree, and Facebook under all the tags she said. But also for my Instagram is Shania Twampson.
Perfect. So the first question I like to ask, where are you from originally?
Originally from Denver.
Denver?
Yeah.
Okay. All the way out here in Reno.
Yes.
Yeah.
What made you come down to Reno?
I was originally performing at the El Dorado, doing shows here, theater shows.
Okay.
Grew up dancing, so I was doing professional dance shows, and then COVID happened, and
gotcha.
I met this one, so I moved here.
So then it helped out with
Yeah.
everything. And for the dancing, what kind was it? Like what category, I'd say?
So first I did like a magic show, which involved more like, I would say like jazz, hip-hop style dancing.
Okay.
And then I did a Christmas show, which was a bit of everything, jazz, tap, ballet, a lot of technical dancing
A
involved
little
in
bit of
that. But I've
everything.
been, trained in everything. So.
Gotcha. And then how about you? Where are you from originally?
I'm originally from Los Angeles, East
Okay.
LA. I was born and raised, and then I moved here at about 5th grade. However
Okay.
old that was, like 12 years old. I've been here since.
Nice. So then when it comes to everything, when you were younger, what did you want to do for a living? Did you have kind of an idea, when you were a kid and you kind of think, ooh, I want to be an astronaut or a vet or something? Did you have kind of an idea on what you wanted to do?
I did. I was shooting for the stars. I really thought I was going to be a neurosurgeon for the longest
Oh,
time.
there you go.
Clearly, that is not the route I went into.
Right.
I do like to pick people's brains, but I don't do surgery on them.
Right. There's one's not as bad as the other.
Yeah.
If you mess up, you're just like, nobody's going to be walking around as a vegetable for a while.
Right.
Yeah,
So they
exactly.
won't be walking around.
Yeah, no, at all.
They'll be kind of scooting around a little
Right.
bit. And then what about yours? What did you want to do?
I actually wanted to be a teacher. For the longest time, I had so much respect for teachers in school. And then I actually went to college to attempt to be a teacher. And I actually got all the way to student teaching. And I realized I really hate all those kids with the
Yeah.
passion.
Not for you.
Some of them were cool, but, I was like, yeah, this is definitely not for me. Switch majors, and then the rest is history. Yeah.
And so you were saying that you kind of did dancing. How did you kind of fall into the drag experience? One of the questions that came from Steph, who was kind of interested, it was, how did you find your way into this? Did you have something where something was kind of speaking to you, you always wanted to try, or what kind of brought you into it?
Well, always had an interest in special effects. When COVID happened, things were really boring. So I jumped on TikTok and started making TikTok videos to try and go viral.
Right.
I was doing it really consistently, and I was getting a lot of followers on TikTok. And then I just kind of stopped, but I really got into doing drag makeup, like really heavily for hours on end. I would sit for like 8 hours a day and practice just makeup over and over and over again. And then once clubs started opening up, I finally was like, okay, I'm just going to try it. I'm
Yeah.
just going to do it, go out, perform, and I haven't stopped since. So,
Just continued
yeah.
the passion. And how about yours with that?
Well, I watched this one do his thing, and I thought, that looked super fun. And then the first time we went out, he dressed up, and we were like at the house, and I was like, let's just go to the club or something, let's go check it out. And he was dressed up, and I convinced him to go speak to the hostess of the evening, to be like, hey, do you have like a walk-in spot or just like a pop-up performance? He performed. The audience ate it up, having his dance background, and it was like, as his partner, it was super cool to see like that. The next time he went to go dress up, I was like, why don't we put me in drag just for the hell of it?
Yeah,
I'll
try
go
it
out
out.
with you this
Yeah,
time. And
see what happens.
We'll dress up, and then the hostess recognized this one, put him in the show again, and then was like, "Is that your partner? They're gonna put them in the show too." And I was like, "Oh, I'm not ready. I just wanted to dress up.
I'm just here to watch.
And I was like, no, you gotta
Yeah.
do it. So
So I did it, and I was like, yeah, that was kind of fun. And then we got really lucky off of it. It ended up landing our own show, like, because they
Okay.
were like, well, this one can dance, and then I was giving the mic for a little bit, and it just kind of came naturally. I was just sarcastic, and I was like having the audience laugh, and we were like, we're kind of good at this. We should maybe pursue this a little more.
yeah,
And that's where everything kind of got birthed.
Yeah.
from there.
pretty much. Yeah.
What was that initial performance? What was kind of the set list for that?
What did I do? I did one song. I was dressed in, I was going to say all sequins. I think I had one sequin corset and a bodysuit because that's what I thought looked great at the time.
Yeah.
And I did The Love Game by Lady Gaga. And this one did, what did you?
Well, I chose, I believe it was Fergalicious
Yes.
by Fergie.
Yeah.
And then the hostess messed up and put Say My Name by Destiny's Child.
Oh, yeah.
So I
Not
winged
even
it.
close.
Yeah, I was like, not even
Yeah.
the same skin color.
Yeah.
So
Two
I just
completely
winged-
different things.
I winged it. Yeah, so my first drag performance was to Say My Name, which is not a really good drag performance.
And it
'cause
was
it's
mostly just improv from it.
oh, yeah. I was like, thank God I at least know the words. Yeah.
We pretty much got him his first outfit, which was like a maid costume, and he wore Vans with it.
Some high
and
heels.
the only wig we had was this like pink, really curly wig that just didn't match at all. But
Right.
it was fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it worked out.
It was
Sounds
Yeah.
like it just kind of gave you the bug for performing.
exactly.
So what were you saying for when you got your own show? What kind of happened there? Somebody saw you and then a show started, or how did that kind of come about?
Pretty much. I mean, always at the clubs, they were always looking for different talents, different drag queens to come in. And one of the Fridays had opened up, and so the owner had asked if we wanted the spot, and they saw that we were bringing people in, we were making an impact at the bar,
Yeah.
getting people to come back, and then eventually from there is when it kind of started growing into us really putting on our own show through Eventbrite and doing the brunches and the dinners and everything. So we just wanted to grow and get bigger
Yeah.
and not just, we don't want to have to work for people. So
Right.
Yeah.
That's
We
kind
made
of one of the common things from all entertainers,
Entertainers, yeah.
and entrepreneurials. It's like, if I don't have to work under anybody, I'm happy.
exactly.
Because then I can do my own thing and create my own stuff and just be as creative as I want to be.
Yeah. And nobody tells you what you can do. And that's my favorite part.
Exactly.
Being my own boss.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know, our
and then you just
faces
have to
on
listen to
everything.
the other person.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
like the one who's your partner here, and you're just like, well, I guess I'm okay with working with this one, you know?
Yeah, we can tell each other no and it's fine.
Yeah. I mean, we've been doing it we'll be going on 3 years next summer, and it's been pretty we've been very lucky that a lot of the things that we want to do, we kind of agree.
Yeah.
So it's worked in our favor. There hasn't been too many things where I want to do it this way and you want to do it that way, and there's headbutting. It's almost
Yeah.
like it almost works
It flows
seamlessly
pretty
that
well.
we're able
Yeah.
to be like,
Yeah.
hey, what about this? And we're like, yeah, that's great. Let's do it. So
What are the other kind of thoughts that go into a show now that you've kind of been doing it for a little bit, when you decide, would set list be a right word for that, when you're coming up with like show ideas where you have
Yeah.
to put on a song? What kind of is a thought process that goes into that?
Honestly, it really depends. It either is based off the song for me, and then I kind of build an outfit and a look around it, or if I'm really like, oh, I want to create this outfit and this look, then I'll figure out a song that goes with it. I know that when he writes his own lyrics, he probably starts with that and then goes from the song from there. But yeah, we kind of have, I would say, different ways of setting up our performances for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Like the ideas are a little different going into it.
Yeah, two different strengths because this one's a professional dancer and I can't dance for shit. So I lean into the comedy side, which is why I MC most of the shows, or at least the majority of the show. And like he mentioned, I write my own lyrics, so I like to take songs and make parodies of them, kind of like Weird Al Yankovic is
Oh,
a
yeah.
huge inspiration for me. So I turn Disney songs and pop songs and rap songs, all of it. Like I just bastardize them and then
Make it your own.
make it my own. And it's pretty cool because people always like, oh, I love this song, and they're like, wait a minute, these aren't the lyrics, and then they listen to what I'm writing, and then it's always like an awesome reaction to see people just like laughing and cackling at the stuff I create.
Yeah. We had that same experience because we had the pleasure of seeing one of your guys' performances at the Silver Peak
Yeah.
over there. And when you did the part of your world,
Yeah.
That one's good.
my wife loves Little Mermaid. So she just heard that it was coming on and she was like, oh, this is exciting. I'm like, are you listening to what they're saying? And she kind of paused for a minute.
It's like, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Kind of gave that little, oh, that's what's happening here.
Yeah.
And kind of gave that little bit to it. When you're now kind of have the show, you get somebody approaching you and saying, oh, we want you to do a show. Do you remember your first performance where you had, free range to do everything? Do you have a little story behind that?
Yeah, for Splash.
I would say, yeah, it was probably at Splash. We really started to lean heavily into creating duets that would be memorable, because duets and group numbers, because we did not see that in like the drag scene here at all.
Mhm.
It was always just a queen going out on their own or a performer and just doing their own thing. So I think that really like helped us set apart. We did like a SpongeBob number, which was really funny and just
Yeah.
chaotic. And we've just done all sorts of different stuff. Lady Marmalade we did as a group number. But yeah, I would say those always stood out to me. It's like the duets and the group numbers.
The duets and the groups.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as the ones who kind of like hosted the shows and booked for them and did all the casting and stuff, it was cool to be able to be like, okay, we know certain other queens' strengths. We think they'd be great if we booked them, and we could do this group number.
Mhm.
And then this one being a dancer can come up with the choreo, and then me leaning into the comedy side, throwing a little bit of sprinkles of like just stupidness to make it dancey but funny, and then bam, like group number.
Right.
And we really leaned into that, and I feel like that really helped set us apart, especially at our shows, because they seemed a little more like a production as opposed to just like 4 or 5 different performers coming up doing their own thing. There was almost like a little bit of a flow and some,
Right.
I guess, strategy behind what we were trying to do that night.
Instead of it just being thrown together,
Yeah.
there's actually a performance aspect to it where it seems like, oh, this is rehearsed, this is practice, this is good.
And even though a lot of it wasn't, the idea was that we were portraying that idea. And
Nobody's
people were
gotta
like,
know.
oh, you guys definitely put a lot of work. And I'm like, well, they did.
Yeah.
I just winged it.
And the first one we ever did was it was Stupid Girls by Pink.
Oh, yeah. That's
And it
right.
was mixed with a YouTube show called Most Popular Girls in School.
Okay.
And it's like these Barbie dolls that are like super,
Like Valley Girls.
yeah, like
Okay.
Valley Girl.
Yeah, it's some guy,
Um,
little Barbies, and it's like, oh my god, like he makes them talk like dumb Valley Girls.
I think I know what you're
we
talking about. I
spliced
think I've
that
seen
into
that.
the song
Yeah.
and reenacted a lot of the scenes in it.
And we still use that number.
Yeah,
Yeah. That
If
was
it
the
ain't
first
broke,
one.
don't fix
yeah
it.
exactly.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite performance that you've done? Is that one, or do you have a different one that kind of comes to mind? I mean, out of the number of them
Right.
that I'm sure there are.
Probably one of my favorites personally is, it's called Sparkling Diamonds, which is a Moulin Rouge song. A lot of other people's is Applause, which was the first number I ever performed at Pride.
Okay.
Lady Gaga, yeah.
Nice.
That one was dope.
And that one was, yeah, it was just fully choreographed. So I think people saw that and was like, oh, that's very different. We don't see a lot of like choreography.
Right. Where it's
Very
all just
often.
kind of feeling things and
Yeah.
moving how it goes, but it was actually rehearsed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it looked great on that stage. People were like, "Oh wow, this one is actually like knows how to dance. Like
Knows
you
what
can
they're
see
doing.
the technical skill in it,
Yeah.
which I think made you stand out even more that first Pride up there." I would say my favorite one would probably have to be one that I did in Halloween.
Okay.
I did, what's that song by Christina Aguilera? Something's got a hold on me.
Something's got a hold on me.
That's what it's
Yeah.
called. Something's got a hold on me. I had this outfit on, and then during the song, like I like shut down, and then they came up and like covered me with a tarp, and then the tarp drops, and the song changes into. I'm saying it's my favorite, but I can't remember the songs right now. But point is, the tarp falls down, and I have this bullhead. It's a Halloween bullhead, and I put like piercings on it and giant lashes. And when you place it on your face, you can make the mouth move.
Oh, wow.
So I lip synced the second song that it transitioned to,
Bullhead.
and people like lost it. Like I have a video of it, and people were just like screaming, and you can see the audience just like laughing and throwing money, and it was like the funnest thing. I couldn't see, I couldn't breathe. But I was just prancing up and down that aisle, like I hope I don't trip on someone and die. That was probably my favorite performance, looking back and seeing the people's reaction. Because to me, it's
Yeah.
always like, I want to make the audience laugh as much as possible. So that one really stood out to me because I could feel the energy, even though I couldn't see it. Looking back at the video, I'm like, sweet, it delivered exactly like what I wanted in my head with it.
What you thought, even though you couldn't see or
Oh no, yeah,
anything,
It's
you're like,
pretty
it
bad. I'm
sounds like it's going well.
every time I would move the mouth to peep to like make it lip sync, I got like little glimpses of where I was
Yeah.
going. But
Like, oh, I see someone smiling. I'm not tripping. Here we go.
yeah, that was my favorite one, and I think it's because I'm in the middle of an interview. I can't remember the name of the song. We were listening to it in the car on the way here.
I just had one where we were talking about like Jim Carrey's kind of big movies.
Oh,
And she
yeah.
was like, oh, yeah, you know the one where he's got the green face and he does the thing? I was like, The Grinch? He was like, no, the other
The
one.
Mask.
I love that movie.
Yeah.
Could not figure out the name, The Mask. And we're sitting here for a good 5 minutes.
What is it called?
And then I tell my wife when I get home, it's like, we couldn't figure out The Mask. And she goes, you couldn't figure out The Mask? Every time it comes on, you say how it was Cameron Diaz's first movie. I was like, oh, yeah, that's right, huh? I even said it on the show.
Yeah.
Damn.
Can't remember the name.
Every time you get those little brain farts, it was like, tell me about this.
Yeah.
You're like, I don't remember anything
Yeah, I
about
don't
it now.
remember.
Yeah. It's like, so tell me about it. I can't.
Okay. Yeah.
I would, but I really can't. So when it comes to getting into characters, or how you'd kind of call them, how did you come up with the names behind them?
Honestly, it was our roommate was really drunk one night during COVID, and he meant to say he had swamp ass, and he said he had twamp ass. And for some reason, the first time I got into drag, that kind of stuck. So I was like, Twampson? I don't know. That sounds like it could be a name.
Yeah.
Maria, first name that popped into my head. There was really no like rhyme or reason behind the name.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've also learned that Twampson is like a $20 bill.
So strippers call it apparently.
Oh,
So I was like,
There you go.
know what, that kind of works.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I'm worth at least a $20 bill.
yeah. It was like, those that know.
Yeah, a friend in the industry told me, she's like, did you do that on purpose? And we're like, what? And she's like, when you work the clubs and you see a 20, you tell the girl, oh, that guy's giving Twampsons. And I was like, oh, I had no idea because I'm not a stripper. So
Yeah.
cool.
So then when they ask you, you're like, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give me the
course.
20s.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Come on, let's go. I've got bills to pay. Let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it the same for yours, just kind of adding on to it?
Me just kind of being the smart ass. So Cameron is Caucasian and chose Maria. And I was like, well, I have a lot of family members named Maria. And I'm Latino. So I was like, to be a smart ass, I'm going to choose the whitest name I can think of. So I was like Shania Twain, Shania Twampson. And then it was kind of funny because of the names, when we would get booked for other shows, they always assumed that I was Maria Twampson because I'm Latino. But it was actually the white boy and vice versa. So they would put my name, Shania, under his picture and vice versa. And it was always just the funniest thing. People would get confused.
It was funny.
They thought he was Shania and I was Maria. And we're like, no, it's the other way around.
Just no.
So I kind of did it just to
Typecasting.
screw people.
Just pigeonhole me right away.
Right.
How dare you? And then when it comes to doing your performances, you said you like the duo aspect of it, doing duets and things. When it comes to kind of being in an ensemble, how does that change everything? Because you kind of said we kind of play to people's strengths. What changes when you make it from just the two of you to a group?
So it really depends on like, yeah, what kind of number we want to do. Sometimes we'll do like mostly dancing, and I really just kind of change the choreography depending on what people are capable of. Because there will be people who are more capable of certain things than others, and then we've also done kind of like intros where everyone gets to write their own thing about themselves,
Okay.
and then we put it together. And that will include comedy aspects, some dancing, and then it lets the audience like learn about each performer as well. So
So they know and get a little taste of everybody.
yeah.
And those are probably some of my favorite like little intros that we've done, just because there's like a little sense of pride in each of the queens, knowing that they got to contribute to it, and it's always fun for the audience perspective. When each queen comes out, they have like a little rap verse or like just a little talking verse, or sometimes it's even just like we put the lyrics into like Siri and have her translate and slap it onto music, and then it's just talking about like where they're from, their drag name, a little joke here and there. And then yeah, especially for like the ensemble ones, this one's really good at creating choreo that'll work, that looks good enough on stage, but can like dumb it down for those of us who can't dance really well.
They have 2 left feet.
Yeah, me. Very good at that. Just kind of gauging like where we can take it. Or even sometimes just rotating. You know, like the other queens will be doing like a little like bob back and forth in the corner, and then one queen goes up, does their thing.
Yeah.
And then he can really show out and turn and spin and split and all that crazy stuff. And then my turn, there's like some hand stuff, you know.
Yeah.
Really good at kind of adapting to each performer's strengths.
When you do the ensembles, is it always the same collection, or does it kind of vary depending on the event? Do you always have the same other people kind of coming in and performing with you, or does it tend to change depending on what's going on?
It's always different.
Yeah.
We have, yeah, the numbers we really try to not only create by ourselves, but actually like bring people like over to the house and like spitball ideas because it's a little bit easier
Yeah.
rather than us coming up with it on our own. But yeah, we have a different cast pretty much every single show, so we don't really reuse. I don't think we've really reused any group numbers yet. We could. But it's always fun to come up with new stuff with different people. So.
Yeah.
And then, so with the collection of people, it's always a different set of people as well?
Mix and match. We have about 20 to 25 we can pull from right now. We have a lot of drag queens. We have singers. We have people who we recently started booking like a fire-eating contortionist.
Oh, wow.
Who the audience just loves.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
She's freaking amazing. And we book out of drag too. So like we book, they don't have to be drag queens to be in our shows as long as they have a great talent. They're, you know, nice, friendly people. Our biggest rule for our shows is make the audience feel appreciated for being there, because the only reason we have a job and the only reason you're here to performing is because of the people in the audience. So they're our number one priority always.
Yeah.
So as long as they're friendly demeanor, you know, like we book people and we're like, our number one rule is get there on time and then just go mingle with the audience.
Yeah.
Make them feel welcome, make them feel noticed, make them feel like appreciated. And we get it all the time. People come to our shows and they're like, oh, it felt the vibe here was so good. You guys were so friendly. All the performers were very nice. And I'm like, check. Perfect.
Yeah. That's
It's
what
working. You'll come back.
That's what you want. You want returning clientele.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's great.
Yeah.
Have you had any, same kind of question as before, with the ensemble performances, do you have any that really stick out in your mind where maybe it was a completely new set of people and then, you know, oh, it just blended together so well, or anything like that?
Cooking by the book.
I would say, yeah, there's 2 numbers. Cooking by the Book is one that we did, which is like a kid's song, and then it has Lil Jon mixed into it.
It's
And that one's just-
ridiculous.
So we pretended like we were like baking in the kitchen. We all had aprons and chef hats on and all sorts of different tools we were messing around with, and it was really fun. And then the other one, we did a Powerpuff Girl show
That one was good.
at Splash, and I really want to do that one again and bring it back into our shows because we kind of mixed that where I played him, and then there were the other Powerpuff Girls, and they were all chasing me around and trying
Yeah.
to kill me.
We did like the intro song to the Powerpuff Girls, and then it transitioned to like a Kim Petras song. I believe it was XXX.
Yeah.
And it was just like it's hard to explain it without actually seeing and hearing the video.
Sure.
But it's that those are probably my two favorite, especially Cooking by the Book, just because the ridiculousness of having like a pre-K kindergarten like da 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 cutesy song, and then we just bastardized it with some Little John.
Yeah.
And he's like screaming, talking about what song is it that?
I forget what it's called, but
Like,
Let me
is
see
it
if
the-
I back it up.
it's hilarious.
Is it the early 2000s again? Because Little John's featured on this record.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's like, is it Sean Paul, Lil Jon, or one of them?
Right.
It was good though. It was so fun. The audience loved that one. That one was, and we actually had our girl, one of our main performers. Her name is Sochi, and she sings live.
Okay.
And she's got an amazing voice. She's actually the one that sings the songs that I write. So the Little Mermaid voice you heard was actually Sochi.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so she sings the stuff for us. I write them. But she was in it. We had a burlesque girl, like an actual burlesque, like female, with all the package, all the real parts, not a drag queen. And then us two, and then we had our lovely friend Donna Sucks Does More, which is a local drag queen. And we came up with that.
And we all did that one together.
Yeah, coming up
I
with
think
the
that's why
choreo
it-
and all
yeah.
that. Yeah.
It was
why it
really good.
stood out to you.
Yeah.
Because everybody blended
Super
so well.
fun. Yeah.
That's cool. And if, without having to explain it, if you want to see it, go see it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, go
Like,
check
Yeah,
us on our
it's
Insta.
on the
Hey, go see
Instagram
it.
somewhere.
Yeah, it's on the Instagram. Go look
Just
through all our
stalk through our
stuff. and-
videos.
With those, what has been your biggest performance? Have you had one where it's like you kind of see the number of people and you're like, oh shit, this is a lot bigger than we used to? Have you had any situations like that?
Probably the biggest would be we did not applause, oh my gosh, Telephone.
That's right.
Another Lady Gaga and Beyonce number that we did as a duet at Pride.
Oh.
And for some reason that year, like, the crowd was like kind of busy, and then as soon as we got on stage, the audience was full, like packed.
It was pretty cool to see. And I don't want to say like, oh, they knew that the set list said that we were coming up, so then everyone came to watch. But I mean, the audience like tripled in size
Yeah.
when it was our turn to come up. So I was
Yeah.
like, I don't
Like,
know. I'm not saying it was
obviously-
us, but I'm just saying.
You guys had your timesheets. You
Yeah.
knew we were coming. That's
So
why.
that was a cool one. It was fully choreoed, and this one definitely pushed my dance skills because I was like, no, do it. Like, I will learn this dance. In fact,
I was the one.
this
who
is the one that
messed
messed up a part of the choreo, and I was like, "You're the one that made it." So I was like,
It happens.
"Yeah,
Yeah.
I got it." But that was a super fun one. It was probably one of the biggest crowds we've had. Another one that really stands out to me, we got to do an event called Drag on Ice out in
Yeah.
Sonoma County,
Oh.
and we got to ice skate. I'm gonna use the word that we ice skated very loosely here because it was not like at a professional level whatsoever. We had one day to rehearse, and we got to ice skate around with like professional ice skaters who like do this for a living. They
Yeah.
go perform in like Broadway and ice and all this crazy stuff. And we had a professional ice skating drag queen. Her name is Milk from RuPaul's Drag Race. We got to do that, and that was like probably one of the funnest drag shows I've ever been in. And we're actually doing it again this year. They invited
Oh,
us to come
great.
back, and that's in like 2 weeks.
Oh, wow. So now you actually have skated a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah.
So
And I
that
was-
one's fun.
I'll say the biggest thing coming up is that we just found out. I think I can say it.
Yeah.
We're going to be performing on Saturday with Kesha for the final number when
Wow.
she's
Yeah.
at the GSR. There's like a whole group of queens that got invited to go, which is
That's
really
awesome.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big.
And that'll be probably the biggest crowd yet.
Yeah,
Honestly.
absolutely.
That's cool because Kesha is a huge name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's pretty awesome. Do you have any other inspirations like that where you'd want to be performing with or kind of collaborate with somebody that's on that kind of global scale
man.
like Kesha is?
For me is Lady Gaga, for sure. Just the creativity in her mind is really cool, and she's very like laid back and easygoing and very humble, even though she's like pretty much on a pedestal above a lot of people. She is very famous,
Yeah.
but she's very down to earth, which I really appreciate
Hmm.
because I like people like that.
Yeah,
I
she
feel like
seems
they're
pretty relaxed.
easy to talk to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She doesn't hold up airs on herself.
No,
Yeah.
not at all. She's so, she's very just chill. Like you see videos of her like when people are certain ways towards like paparazzi and stuff like that, and she's always very like friendly to them. They're just doing their job. She's like, here, I'll get you your picture, and I'm like, that's cool. 'Cause
Yeah.
she's probably like, I'm so sick of these people, but at the same time, she's like, I'm not gonna be mean to them. They're just
Right.
doing their job.
Yeah, I got to put on a face.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense. That's cool. That's probably the number one.
For me, yeah, I would say like that. Any of the dancers, Paula Abdul, Janet Jackson, any of them that are like really heavy into choreo
Yeah,
would be really fun for me.
yeah.
I'm
Oh.
not a dancer, so mine's a little different. I think it'd be cool to be able to go on tour and do comedy, just because that's what I lean into for drag. And I get asked all the time. They're like, "Do you do stand up?" I'm like, "You just sat through 2 hours of it." Like, I like to call this the
I
Shania
am.
stand up hour,
Yeah.
and there's
Yeah.
also some drag queens who do some stuff. I was like, for me, it'd be cool to be able to like, I don't know, go on tour and open up for someone like any of the, especially like an LGBT comedian. Like there's Mateo Lane, which I think is hilarious.
I love Mateo.
Yeah.
He's so funny.
He's funny as hell. Like Bob the Drag Queen, Wanda Sykes, like people like that. I think for me would be cool to be able to like be in a stand-up show to do comedy with someone like that, as opposed to like, oh, I'm gonna go on stage with Beyonce because I can't keep up with any of the people on that stage,
Yeah, everyone else is dancing. You're like,
and I'm gonna screw up the choreo. Yeah, we had to do Vogue by Madonna last year on Drag on Ice, and we practiced it, and I had that down. And the moment I stepped out onto that stage to do my solo, I spaced the whole damn thing. So I was like, I'm gonna make a joke out of it. So I made faces and I did like wacky inflatable arm man, and the audience started cackling, and they all thought it was on purpose.
Yeah.
yeah,
And I was like, yeah,
That was funny.
that was supposed to be my part.
completely
I
planned.
spaced it.
You guys saw it.
The moment it was over, though, I was like, I know the fucking choreo again. What the hell?
Yeah,
So,
it's the same as asking the question with the camera on, and you're just like, wait, the mask. That's right.
Yes.
yeah.
So a couple of questions here from an outside source, Steph. She has a few drag-related questions. One is, her question is, what's your sparkle? So it's like her kind of description of that was, what is it that makes your drag performances or yourself be you? Like, is it the lip syncing that comes into it? Is it the performance aspect? Kind of what's the thing that gives you that sparkle, if that makes sense?
Yeah. I would say for me, it's always been just getting to dance, perform on stage, and then hearing the audience like scream, and their interactions has always been my biggest thing. If I wasn't doing drag, I would still just be trying to be on a stage somewhere, which is so opposite of who I am as a person. Because like me myself, I hate being in the limelight. But on stage, obviously, I want to be
Yeah, it's completely
out
different.
front. Yeah, everyone see me, everyone watching. So, yeah, getting to just showcase my talent and my artistry, because I worked on it really hard.
Yeah.
So
Want to show it off.
yeah,
Mine's the same when, like, I don't really care to be the loudest person in the room or the center of attention, but if the camera's on, I'm like, where's my script? Let's
Exactly.
go. What are we doing?
Yeah.
Like, I'm happy to do it. And what about for you?
For me, I would say I just like making people laugh. I've always been like a smart ass, even when I was a little kid. Just the jokester at home. So to be able to like get in front of an audience and like think of like, what can I do to get a cackle out of these people? Make a smile, laugh. Like if they're not laughing by the end of a performance, I'm like, then what am I doing?
Yeah.
So for me, that's the shine. I just like making people smile and laugh because it's, laughter is good medicine. And it keeps people coming back. I feel like a lot, because they leave feeling good.
Yeah.
No one laughs and is like, I hate that.
Yeah.
So I hated laughing. I hated being happy.
That was dumb. My cheeks hurt.
Right,
I don't want to
exactly.
come back.
So that's definitely for me. Almost everything that I do when it comes to drag, the jokes I write, the skits I do, all that kind of stuff, it's always, at a surface level with the goal and the intention to make someone smile or laugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
And plus it makes them throw more money too, so that's good.
that's
True.
Yeah.
kind of the best part.
Yeah.
yeah.
Gotta pay the bills.
More money is kind of the best. I love more money. One of the other ones here is when it comes to the drag makeup, are you more towards the traditional look of it, or kind of the new school look of it? Which I'll say it for me, I'm not 100% with that, but because there's a traditional and a new school, kind of what's your take on it?
I always wanted to try and find a way to mix the two. So like before when I started it was pretty old school, like really I would say harsh lines, but in the best way. Like it's still blended makeup, but you paint for the back of the room as an
Okay.
old school drag queen because you're typically in the clubs, you're typically on a stage where people need to see the makeup from afar or in
Gotcha.
dimmer lighting. New school, and I think it's a lot because of like with brunches and social media and photography and everything is a lot like lighter, more feminine. Um,
A lot softer, for sure.
yeah, a lot softer makeup.
Okay.
So I try and do a combination of the two. I've always liked my eyes to be really like big and dramatic
Mhm.
and kind of, I mean, my eyes are really small, so I like to overpaint
Want to
them
make them pop.
a lot,
Yeah.
but still have kind of a softer face because I also have very masculine features, so I try and soften them up and not make them stand out
Right.
as much.
That makes sense. Where
Yeah.
it's like, example, where I can't remember who she's inspired by, but like Ursula,
Right.
Yeah.
where it's that kind of thing. Where
Like
it's,
divine.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Divine.
Yes.
See, camera's on.
Old
Couldn't
school.
think of it. I
Big
was like,
makeup, yeah.
Domino?
Yeah, divine. I would say new school, but kind of old school drag is Trixie Mattel.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's kind of created her own face paint,
Okay.
but definitely has a lot of old school aspects in there.
Where it keeps that kind of the lines and everything, but it brings the new
Yes.
school where it's a little.
It's all blended,
There you
but
go.
Yeah.
there's definitely that like those cut cheeks and the cut jaw and the
Mhm.
yeah,
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Okay. I've learned something new here.
yeah.
I like it. And then, kind of how we were talking before the cameras really started, do you go about, because there's a thing about going by the legal name and the drag name.
Mhm.
How do you choose when you want to, or like, how do you go about that?
I think we don't care, but that's just us. Like everyone always asks us, like, what are your pronouns? What are this in drag? I'm like, even though Maria is a character, it's still like just me. So if you call me Cameron in drag, I'm still gonna respond.
Yeah.
Every single time you say he, she, they, other words that I probably shouldn't say on the podcast. Yeah, and we don't mind. But I know that there are people, and obviously you always want to respect those boundaries. But yeah, always just asking is
Yeah.
the best way to go.
Yeah.
But
I
yeah.
think that's probably the best way to do it. Just ask.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we don't care.
No,
at all.
people that know me out of drag before drag, they'll mix it up here and there interchangeably,
Mhm.
and it doesn't phase whatsoever. People that meet us in drag, and then they see us out of drag, they still use the drag names.
Yeah.
So like that's pretty common for the performers too. Like all of our drag friends, when we see them or we're hanging out with them, we don't call them by their boy names, even though we know their real name.
Yeah.
We still call them by their stage names, which is always funny hanging out and being like, "Hey, Sophia," and it's some like young boy,
Yeah.
some young guy is like, "Wait, what's up?" So it's always it's interesting. But I feel like at least most of the drag queens that we're around, we really don't care.
Hmm.
Like we can be like, I mean, I don't know. I guess sometimes when Jeremiah is like in Sophia mode, and you say Jeremiah, he's like, "What'd you call me?"
Yeah.
But like we, like
Yeah.
Yeah, I think most
we
queens
don't have a preference.
prefer their drag names, but yeah, like I said, you
To
can
each
call
their
me
own.
whatever, and
Yeah.
yeah, it is teach their own.
As long as you don't call us like the opposite, call me Maria or
Yeah,
that one.
then we're
Shania.
gonna fight.
Yeah. When the poster comes back on, and you're like, but it said right there. And it's like, I got it.
Well, they messed up.
And then, oh, this one here. Do you have, because kind of how we were talking when you have the ensembles and it's kind of a different set of people, do you have a drag family or like a fairy drag mother, that kind of thing?
So we started on our own.
Yeah, we're the moms.
So
I
we
guess.
are the moms of our family, I guess. And we kind of started our own house.
Mm-hmm.
And you could, so there's like different ways to do it. Now there's all sorts of different family members you can have in drag. People are like, oh, that's my drag auntie, or that's, my drag cousin.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
your whole big family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have adopted other people into the Twampson name. So like
but
Sochi.
a proxy.
Yes.
Because we want to keep the
Asterisk.
brand.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like the Twampsons is us too, but we do have like Twampson proxies, we like to call them. So
Yeah.
like Sochi, the one that sings, for the sake of the shows, we'll say she's Sochi Twampson, but you're not gonna find her like on the merch or like we don't
Gotcha.
really say she's like our drag daughter.
Mm-hmm.
We have a new one, Peach T. He's
Yep.
our best friend. He started dabbling into drag, and he's been a makeup artist for years, so his makeup is like miles beyond ours, and we're finally like. Then do drag. You look way
Yeah.
prettier than we ever
You
will.
know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Let's go.
So his stage name is Peach T. T is supposed to be for Twampson, but we're not going to call him Peach Twampson.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
that's where he's a proxy.
And then we have Sophia Evans, who became Sophia Evans Twampson. We call her our drag niece.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we don't actually like have like drag kids
Children, yeah.
that
Oh,
like
okay.
will take the name just because we're like, well, we kind of want it to be associated with just us. Just kind of being selfish with the brand because we put a lot of work into branding ourselves.
Yeah.
And approaching drag in a very business like oriented way while keeping like the passion and the love for the art form. For me, I'm like, I don't want to go back to a 9 to 5. So how do I make this like my full-time thing?
Yeah.
So the Twampsons is very dear, and I'm like kung fu grip on that.
Yeah.
But like, oh, you want a drag daughter? I'm like, absolutely not. I'll teach you whatever the hell you want, but you make your own name.
I will help you out, but that's about it.
Yeah. You can throw a T for your last name, but you're not taking
Yeah,
Twampson.
just take an initial. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it's there. Enough.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then with this too, for your, now it's kind of away from the specific questions. When you guys now have found your performances and everything and you have your ensemble together, where's been kind of the craziest place you've traveled to with the show on the road? Have you brought it on the road or has it kind of stayed here? Do you have plans to take it on the road? Anything kind of like that?
Mostly to California. We've done Sacramento and Santa Rosa so far, and then, Lake Tahoe.
Yeah, we had a residency at the
there.
Hard Rock.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Which was cool.
That
Nice.
was cool.
Um,
Had a huge billboard with our faces on it, branch, blah, 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 the Twampsons. So
Yeah.
that was kind of a flex. We have opportunities to take it other places. We just never have the time. Like we have chances
Yeah.
to take it out to Austin. We can do it out in Phoenix. We have people that we know down in Los Angeles, Burbank, all those areas. They're like, hey, if you ever want a show. And we're like, we would love to, but we got like 18 already this month, so we literally don't even have time to wipe our ass. Yeah, I would love to take it more places, especially because of the Hard Rock. That one really opened our eyes to like a lot of people in Tahoe are tourists. So we have people that are from Florida, all these other places, and they came and saw the show, and they're like, "Oh my God, this was so much fun!" And we like really push them towards like, "Oh, go check out the shows where you live."
Yeah.
And some of them are even like, "Well, what would it take for us to get you guys to come and do a show out here?" And we're like, a couple $1,000
Money.
I don't know. Yeah, money.
It's like, do you got your checkbook?
Yeah,
handy,
exactly.
or what can we do here? That's awesome that you kind of have those opportunities that are coming, but you've been booked out for so long. Is that kind of...
Yeah, and it's mostly because since we do run our own shows, we have to kind of be here and make sure that the brunches are going well and everything. We want to always make sure that at least one of us is in the show. Like if one of us gets sick or something like that, then
Yeah.
the other one can take over. Just because people really do rely on us being there and being a part of the show.
Yeah,
Mhm.
people come to see us
because it's our name
Yeah.
on it.
Yeah.
So, but I would love to travel more and do more things. We just got to find the time.
Yeah.
But
And we say that, and then like a new venue pops up, and they're like, "Hey, we'd love to have you." And we're like, "All right, let's talk details."
You
We
free
just
next
started
Tuesday?
St. James Brasserie or Brasserie St. James.
Okay.
We're starting up a drag dinner, like cabaret show there.
Oh, cool.
And that's going to debut next month. And then we have Coffee and Comics, which we've done a couple game nights with them. And the owner of that place is super cool. And he's like, whenever you want to come back, please. Like the people that go to his establishment just like absolutely love the shows we've done there. Then we have our regular 2 brunches that we've been doing for like a couple years now, rotating. We do being like it's just gig after gig after gig, and it's cool. And then doesn't even include like the private gigs we do. We do a lot of like bachelorette parties, birthday parties, stuff like that. So we'd love to travel, but
there's so much going on here.
No space in the calendar.
Very little time. A lot of things that I want to do, but not enough time.
Yeah, isn't that always how it is?
Yeah.
Not enough time. And when it comes to the drag brunches, was that what you guys started here? Because I don't fully remember there being any drag brunches kind of before. Did you guys kind of bring that, or was it kind of a play off something else? Or
There were already drag brunches here.
And for the sake of business competition, we will not be naming them.
We just
Understandable.
wanted to do that. I mean, business is a competition, so we wanted to do it better and bigger. And we did just exactly that. And
Yeah.
so it kind of put brunches on the map more, which put more drag queens on the map in Reno. And so more people started branching out and doing their own shows and stuff. But yeah, as soon as we did that one, and then more businesses just started picking up on the idea and started asking us, and then just kind of blew up
Yeah.
from there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then now you've been so busy.
Yeah, I mean, some of these game shows and dinners we do are their original idea was like, do a brunch here. And we're like, well, we don't want to flood the market.
Yeah, we don't want 7
So
brunches.
let's do a night show or let's
Yeah.
do a game show or like a dinner
Yeah.
cabaret show. Like,
Yeah.
so we're always down to like do more shows with businesses. Cause you'll have like an employee that went to the show and they're like, oh my God, there was like 100 people and it was like huge and loud and crazy and blah, 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 blah. And then owners of businesses see, ooh, money.
Yeah.
But the truth of reality is we have a very solid following. We have a pretty good rotating fan base, but we don't have like thousands of followers that we can pack a venue every weekend either. You know,
Sure, yeah.
we're like pretty aware of that. So trying to branch out and do different kind of things. Like we just recently did like a Dungeons and Drag Queens thing at the
Oh.
Coffee and Comics,
Cool.
which was super fun to do. It was very game night. It was like it really wasn't Dungeons and Dragons. Like take the game, strip everything but the name, and I created a game like from scratch to
Okay.
play with the audience, and it was very successful. They want us to come back and do it again.
Yeah, it all kind of started with one brunch in a venue that was way too small for us at the time, which we had no idea.
Sure.
Yeah.
We ended up selling like 90, I
In
think
like a
it was
week?
like 98 tickets, and that venue was probably supposed to hold like, I would say 65 people.
At best.
So just like
Oh,
rows
wow.
of chairs.
Yeah.
And then after that, everyone still came back. We found the arch, and then we were there for a whole year. Packed it to 120 people, and
Wow.
then
Yeah, every month.
once that kind of closed down, we moved on, and now we're at Lead Dog, and we're still holding those same numbers. So
Nice.
yeah,
So business has not slowed down.
not
at
at all. And we really thought it was going to after the summer, and we were like, wow, we're actually gonna get a like little taste of a break, but no, it's just I think it's gonna get crazier, honestly.
I mean,
But
just
the opportunities are bigger.
Just next
would
week
say.
alone, just to give you an example of what we got going on, we're doing a TMCC fundraiser for the Wizards Warehouse, which is their food pantry for students.
Okay.
So we're doing like a charity fundraising bingo. That's Thursday night, and then Friday morning we drive out to Sonoma County to do Drag on Ice Friday. Then we drive back Saturday morning to do our brunch at Silver Peak on Sunday, and that's just the beginning. Because then in that week, we also have we have our Brasserie St. James show, and then we also have another one called Cabaret Before Christmas at Shim Surplus. And then it just literally just keeps on going the rest of the month. We're back in Sonoma again for New Year's. We're going to be hosting their big New Year's bash party
Wow.
at some resort, and
That's a big one too.
That
yeah,
one.
that one's fun.
That one was super cool.
They do like a British invasion takeover party.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Super cool. Some little British lady that owns a tea shop
Yeah,
found us.
Yeah. And she was like, "Hey, I have a cool opportunity." So we were like, "Yeah, we'll take that. That's fun."
Why not?
Yeah.
It sounds like a cool opportunity.
We did it last year. It was so much fun, and the audience, like a lot of them had never seen drag before.
Sure. Yeah.
So when she was talking about doing it again this year, a lot of the people were like, "Are you bringing those drag queens back? We really like them." And she was like, "Work." So
Just you got it.
yeah, so I was like, "Yeah, we'll come back." Those people don't tip ones. They're all rich people at a resort. They're tipping 20s, 50s. I was like, "Yeah, you don't have to pay me. They're going to pay me
They know the
enough."
Twampson name. They
So-
already knew 20s on 20s.
Yeah, exactly. They're like Twampsons. They're like 20s.
So on that note, you kind of said how your schedule is going. One other question that I like to ask, kind of as we wrap things up a little bit here, as general and vague of a question as it is, what's next for you? Like, after saying all the shows you have planned, the possibility of traveling with everything, what is next that you kind of are thinking about that, you know, is kind of on your mind or that you'd like to promote, or kind of as general of a question as that is?
Yeah. I would say in my head right now I have like a 5-year plan. In that 5 years, I'd like to get on RuPaul's Drag Race. I will audition every year until I get on.
Yeah, why not?
Eventually, and then I'd also love to produce shows. Having a dance background and choreography, I'd love to choreograph shows, be in them, and then also have this one host the shows. So where we actually create like theater shows and sell it to the El Dorado and to casinos here.
Yeah.
That's like would be the next big thing I think for us is to create,
Produce an
Massive.
actual, yeah.
Just
Yeah,
keep the
theater
shows,
shows,
going.
yeah.
And the cool thing is, we already are on the radar of some like big names in town that like run the casinos and the Row and stuff like that, and they've expressed interest. So I think for us, the next step is to create a production and have like all sorts of acts, aerialists, pull out all the stops, get
Yeah.
our singers, get our fire eaters, the sword swallowers, and come up with like a full 2-hour show that we can place in a theater so they can sell out at like the Eldorado showroom or something.
Yeah.
Like for me, that would be the goal.
Yeah.
I think that'd be cool, because then it pulls it away from like more like that very like amateur level, like what we do at our brunches and stuff. And then this is like, oh, we're doing a show where we're on billboards in downtown Reno, and then from there, who knows? And someone in Vegas might notice it, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I would like to be a part of like a full production where
Take your brunches and make them on a big scale.
Yeah.
Make them
sell,
Exactly.
brunch, lunch, dinner, all of it.
yeah.
Make it huge. Well, guys, I want to say thank you for coming in and kind of telling your story here and how everything's going. Before we do get you out of here, go ahead and promote socials, where you want everybody to find you, websites, anything like that for the people to follow.
All right. I'm Cameron McMeckin, also known as Maria Twampson. You can find me on Instagram as Maria Twampson. TikTok is Maria Twampson. Linktree has all of our shows, which is Maria Twampson. And then Facebook is The Twampsons, which is our business page. And did I forget anything else? No. That's everything for Maria.
Yeah, and I'm Fernando Gonzalez, a.k.a. Shania Twampson. You can find me on Instagram. That's probably where I am the most active, under at Shania Twampson. And then, again, you can find our link tree at The Twampsons, and then Facebook, The Twampsons as well. The link tree, we have it updated all the time. It lists all the shows we have coming up, and it's always updated as shows come up. You can go out there, check it out, see what we have coming up. Also go on our Instagram, and you'll find all our stuff posted there as well, and our story posts and our feeds. Get a little taste of what we do. We promise if you come out to a show, you're going to have an amazing time, as Stephen would probably tell you. He can attest to that. Come
Perfect.
see us. You'll have
Yeah.
fun, I promise.
It's true. They're not lying. Go check out a show. It's a lot of fun, very interactive. You'll have a great time. So you guys heard it here first. Give them a follow. Find all the link trees and everything like that. For us over here at the show, Stephen Longley for me, Longley's Line for the show. Light Styles Studio for our studio here. We'll talk to you guys next week. Cool.
Sweet.
Thank you.
Yeah,
thank
you guys
you.
for coming.
Of course.